Hi everyone, it's Evangeline here at eTrailer, and today we'll be taking a look at the RockyMounts MonoRail 2-bike platform rack right here on our 2022 Toyota Tundra. This is going to be a really versatile bike rack. Pretty much any shape, size, or weight of bike you have, this can handle it. So we'll talk about those features and those specs. We're going to focus on our truck here today. That way you can see what is the better fit for you, your different types of bikes, and your Toyota Tundra. The first feature we're going to take a look at is the tilt away feature. We have this bright blue lever here at the end. You're going to pull that lever and just let that bike rack drop down to a tilt. And why would you tilt your bike rack away? If you want to lower your tailgate. So let's take a see here if we can completely lower our tailgate, and we actually almost can. You can see it kind of makes contact with our bike over there, but it clears the cradles, which I'm very surprised by because most bike racks can't tilt away far enough to get some good distance here. So we'll probably have better luck when we take our bike off later on. So this bike rack has 120-pound total weight capacity, which is about 60 pounds per bike. And the way this secures our bike is we have two touch points. One is going to be our rear wheel strap holding that rear wheel down, but my favorite part is going to be up here. That's our front wheel mount. You can see how it secures the front wheel of our bike. Very convenient, especially for your different types of bikes. So if you had a carbon fiber frame bike, you'd be worried about the hooks on traditional bike racks. With this, no worries at all. Also, if you have children's bikes, women's bikes, step-through bikes, this makes it super convenient and easy to use because then you don't need to get frame adapter bars. You just load it up, tighten it down, and that's it. You're ready to hit the road. Now when you want to take your bike off, you start at the rear wheel strap. See that bright blue lever? You're going to press that lever because then that disengages the strap and allows you to take it up and out. And I like to just kind of bend it over to the side so it's out of the way of our spokes. Then you go over to the front wheel mount, support your bike as you do so. You press this button and that will let you lift this up and then push it out. And just like that, took 2 steps, you're now ready to grab your bike and go on a bike ride. With the bike off, we get to take a closer look at the bike rack itself. The first thing I want to take a look at is our rear wheel cradle. Notice the way this tilts back and forth to accommodate those different wheelbases. The maximum wheelbase you can carry with this is up to 48-inch long bikes. You have that strap that goes over and secures that wheel. And you also have those grooves on the inside for your different tire widths. The maximum tire width you can have with this is up to 5 inches. So for your fat bike tires, perfectly fine. This front wheel cradle folds down to be all nice and neat. And then we have the front wheel mount, which I talked about earlier, which I like with our bikes of different shapes and sizes. This one just secures to the back behind that rear cradle. Now, your Toyota Tundra already takes up a good amount of space, and when you have a bike rack behind you, it takes up even more. So let's take some measurements to see exactly how much. I'm going to measure from our bumper right over there to the end of the rack right over here, and that sits at 34.5 inches. So if you're backing into your garage or trying to park into a tight spot, it's good thing to remember that you have 2 bikes as well as a bike rack behind you that you now have to account for. Now let's talk about ground clearance, and I'm going to measure at the end of the rack right here to the ground. It sits at 27 inches. Compare that measurement though to the shank, and that sits at 18 inches. Usually for other cars, they're concerned about ground clearance because of those steep inclines and they don't want their bikes hitting the ground. In our case here, with how tall the Tundra is, that's not going to be an issue. What's actually going to be an issue is how high do you want to lift your heavy bikes. With where the trays are, you're going to have to lift them 30 inches up. And if you have those, if you maxed out your weight capacity at 60 pounds per bike, that's how high you have to lift those heavy electric bikes up onto the tray. So what if you find out that you don't have enough space in your garage for both your big truck and a bike rack? or if you just want to move this into the compact portable position when you're driving around town. What you can do is you can fold this up. Remember that big lever we pulled earlier? Pull that again, but this time lift up on the bike rack and then secure it up against the vehicle. Now let's take some measurements to see the difference that makes. So closest point is going to be from the bumper to our cradle, and that sits at 3.5 inches, so plenty of clearance there. The length now added to the back of our truck is going to be from the bumper to the end of the shank, and that sits at 14.5 inches. So a big difference compared to when this was folded down. You'll definitely want it in this position when you're just planning on driving around town and you don't want to take up more space than you already are. But what is it like living with a bike rack behind your truck all the time? Well, notice with it folded up like this, it obviously doesn't go up and over your tailgate. You can actually expand this to carry more bikes with the add-on cradles. Definitely check those out here at eTrailer. Another thing is our taillights are obviously visible. It does kind of cover our license plate though, but it does not cover our backup camera, which sits right over there. So even with the bike rack on, you'll still have that visibility behind your truck. Included with this bike rack is your lock, and you actually get 2 locks. So one's going to be for your anti-rattle bolt, the other is going to be for your cable lock, but they both use the same included key. Back to the anti-rattle bolt, this is going to use a 3/4 inch socket to tighten that down and secure the bike rack to the vehicle. So with that anti-rattle bolt, what it does is it makes sure to take out that wobble with your bike rack, and I'll demonstrate how that works. So as I shake our bike rack back and forth to try to simulate that road movement, notice how I'm really just moving the truck at this point. That's because that connection between the rack and the hitch is nice and secure, making for a smoother ride for your bikes overall. Here on our test course, we'll start by going through the slalom. This is going to show us the side-to-side action, which simulates turning corners or evasive maneuvers. Once we get to the alternating speed bumps, we'll see the twisting action. This will simulate hitting a curb or a pothole or driving over uneven pavement. Now lastly, we're going over some full speed bumps, and we can see here the up and down action, and this will just be like driving in and out of a parking lot, garage, or driveway. So my personal thoughts about this pairing of the RockyMounts MonoRail with our Toyota Tundra is if you're looking for a good, reliable bike rack for your nicer bikes. Let's say you spend a lot on a bike and you want to protect your investment as you take it from your home to the trail, wherever you're going. This is going to be a great option for you. You have the ability to add on, especially once you have the 2-inch shank version, which is what I have here. If you find yourself with a 2-bike platform rack with an 1.25 inch shank, it works the same way, except you cannot add on to that, but you can move it down to a single. So other than that, this is a good pairing with our truck, but if you want to carry more, there's other options too. There's going to be the Kuat transfer with a similar design in terms of weight capacity, but that has a goalpost, which makes it easier to load and unload those bikes. Another thing is we also have hanging rack options, which allow you to carry more but take up less space, although with less stability. So definitely check out those bike racks here at eTrailer. Hopefully this video helped you out with making that decision though, to see what types of features you liked or didn't like, so that you can get the best fit for you and your different types of bikes on your truck. And that was a look at our RockyMounts MonoRail 2-bike platform rack on our 2022 Toyota Tundra. My name is Evangeline, and I hope you enjoyed the journey.